The following is a MuchMusic special presentation.
The Earl Grey School. John, let's go sit on the steps here for a second and find out the significance of the Earl Grey School. Now, what happened here? Who went to this school?
This is where it started, Terry, right here on the steps.
What?
Neil Young. His mother moved here with him, 60. 61, he went to Earl Grey School, met Ken Coblin here, formed his first band, the Jades.
Right.
Jades lasted a few months until one of the guys in the band had a hockey practice, and Neil said, hey, it's either hockey or band. Well, the guy went off and played hockey.
Did he become a famous hockey player?
No, I don't think so. But Neil would sit on the steps here with Ken Coblin, and as he said in the song Don't Be Denied, dream about being a star. Play guitar out here on the steps. Later moved on to Calvin, which is just a few blocks away, formed the Squires, and it's legend after that.
Did they have a music program here?
No.
So was he an outsider or what?
Yeah, he was. As a matter of fact, he got beat up a few times when he first came here because he was from Toronto. He was a different kind of kid. He had different kind of hair and wore pointy shoes, and they thought he was a hard rock. So they beat him up a few times.
And it happened right here?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Neil. .1123 Grosvenor. You asked us to stop here. Why is that?
This is the house that Neil Young lived in for the 5 years that he was in Winnipeg, and the Squires used to practice in the living room there, and his mother told me that Neil used to stand in the living room, him and Ken Coblin, and, quote, listen to those damn Beatle records all day, trying to learn licks from it.
What else happened in this house? What, this era?
This is around, as I say, like the early to mid-'60s. Regular visitor here would be Jimmy Cale and guys from Chad Allen Reflections, because they used to help out the Squires. As a matter of fact, Cale used to lend Neil his Fender concert amp, because Neil just had a little homemade amp at the time. And kind of the famous story where Neil wrote to his father, Scott Young, in Toronto, asking for a new amp, saying that he was going to do well in school, could he please front him the money? And his father said, no, I want you to stay in school. So one day, all the guys from the Squires came and opened up the door, and there was a brand new big amp that Neil's mother had bought for him. She was behind him all the way. One of the best stories I had when I was putting the book together was talking to some people who remember seeing Neil playing at St. Ignatius Catholic Youth Organization in the basement there. And it's just when the Beatles had come along, and before that time, Neil and the Squires had been doing instrumental music. And they announced that they were going to try something new and sing a Beatles song. So there's Neil up front, he launches into It Won't Be Wrong or something like that, some kind of a Beatles tune. And at the end, someone in the audience yells out, stick to instrumentals.
Neil Young's always been a serious musician. In Winnipeg with band The Squires, he just wasn't getting what he wanted. So he headed for Toronto at age 20 in 1965. There he met, of all people, Rick James, and formed a group called the Mina Birds. Still not satisfied, Young headed for California in a 1953 hearse. After it broke down partway, he hitchhiked the rest of the trip, and there joined forces with Steve Stills, who he'd met briefly in Winnipeg. They formed the Buffalo Springfield, highly successful band in the late 60s, and recorded a number of Young's compositions, including Mr. Soul, one that Neil re-recorded 15 years later for the album Trans.
Did you ever play in a garage band? In the old
Oh yeah, that's where you start. You know, you set up in a garage and you play, and that's where my first band started, in a garage. And garage bands are not cool. You know, they're notorious for being, you know, hard hitting and punchy, and they're not like, you don't find many fashion rock bands in garages. You know, it's not the cool clothes, the triangular shirts and everything. I mean, you don't find that in the garage band type of thing. You know?
Just honest, straight-ahead rock and roll.
I guess that's what it is.
Still...
As long as it gets off, that's the one criteria for it.
the people out there that you feel you're reaching? Do you feel it's a lot of the people that you grew up with, or do you feel it's a lot of the youngsters?
Well, the youngsters, I think the youngsters are definitely...
Youngsters are entertained.
No, they're ready to be entertained. They're ready to live. They're ready to do whatever it is that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
They like to get down, you know. They're there to have fun. They don't care whether I'm a hero from a long time ago or whether I just got in town. They're alive right now, you know. They're 18, 17, 20, whatever they are. They're happening, you know. Now that's who we like to play for.
I think we got to do a sound check or something.
You're going to do a sound check? Okay. Sound check for Crazy Horse, so I'll be right there.
Crazy Horse. We'll see you out there.
Okay, we'll see you guys in a minute.
Bye-bye.
I don't care if I sell any records. I've already sold a lot of records. I've sold a lot of records. What do I sell more records? Fantastic! Who cares? What do you get? You go home, you go to sleep. You're still sleeping, whether you sold records or not. You know, and you walk around, you got all the stuff you got in your life. Selling records is like, it's like, I can't say what it's like.
Not
it's
satisfying.
Just not, yeah, it's not satisfying. Playing in front of people is satisfying. Seeing the people getting off and watching the people move and watching them become like a mass that moves, where everybody's together and they're all getting off and nobody's thinking about how cool they are. Everybody's in it together. That's rock and roll. That's what I'm here for.
In 1969, Neil Young and Steve Stills left the Buffalo Springfield to form Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. It was also an important year for Neil Young in that he began a rather prolific solo career. In fact, between 69 and 81, he released 17 solo LPs. As the 80s began and the video age started, though, it was a rocky time in Neil Young's career. He split with Reprise Records, signed with Geffen, began experimenting with electronic music, and released the somewhat shocking LP called Trans. The next two albums for Geffen were equally eclectic. In fact, the album Everybody's Rockin' was described as being short, patchy, and unmarketable. While sales were not the best, the videos were memorable. In fact, Wonderin' has become a bit of a favorite.
Do you feel your music is as honest as it's always been? Do you try to keep it that way?
You know, it's honest, I guess. I don't know. It's me. Whatever I am, it is. Whatever it is, I am. It's all the same thing.
Do you think that you'll ever dabble in country again, or I guess you don't
I
plan
love
things?
country music, and I'm sure I'll play country music again. I had a great time playing country for a couple of years, and I did it because I felt like it, you know. I mean, I don't know why everybody else doesn't do whatever they want, or maybe they all want to do the same thing over and over again. Whatever, it's fine with me, whatever everybody does. Just don't tell me what to do.
After releasing the country album Old Ways in 1985, Neil Young was sued by David Geffen for releasing, quote, unrepresentative material. He was also prohibited from working with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, a project that he was eager to get back to. It was a rather dismal time in Neil Young's career.
For me, the 80s had been a rocky road in a lot of ways, but it's like all of these characters that are in my past, that I've done, all these different people that I've tried to be. And so the 80s has been very confused for me on a personal level. And I don't really have much of a feel for the 80s, other than, you know, personally. I really don't know hardly any of the answers to the big questions, you know. I mean, when you say, what do you think of the 80s? I really don't know. Now let's try to just be serious, okay?
Okay, you're rolling. All right, we're going to be serious here. These
Yeah.
are grown men here.
Yeah,
I
right.
want everybody to know that.
No, that's right. That's what we're doing here.
All right, Neil, it seems that the only constant in your life is change, and you've hit us with yet another surprise once again. Landing on Water, a great album, but not what we expected, of course.
What did you expect?
Do these changes come out of inspiration, or do you just, do you feel compelled to change? You just got to continue?
No, they come directly from David Geffen. He calls me, tells me exactly what to do, and I do it. That's true. That's the way it's been since the beginning, since I met him at CSNY.
And
every move I've made.
And you don't mind stooping to his demands?
No, the only thing I feel about David is that he missed his calling in life. He should have been a dictator at an art colony.
He was kidding about that, but David Geffen and Neil Young were seriously at odds. Geffen expecting hit songs like Heart of Gold, what he referred to as Neil Young music. Neil, however, on the other hand, feeling that all the various musical personalities he'd been experimenting with were quite consistent with his musical vision. In the meantime, Neil finished off the Geffen recording contract and concentrated on making great videos, particularly for the album Landing on Water, all with director Tim Pope. The Touch the Night video looked like, I don't know, your audition tape for Eyewitness News.
Oh, yeah. The guy, don't know what his name was, George something. Anyway, the character in that was a good shoot. There's only one cut in that. It's kind of hidden in the middle. We tried to do it in one take, but Tim Pope liked the beginning of one take and the end of the other better. So for a video, that's pretty unique to just have one shot all the way through, and that we were aiming for that, and that was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed doing videos.
I can tell. You seem fascinated with the camera's eye view of things that seems to crop up in songs and videos.
Yeah. You mean describing what the camera's seeing?
Yeah.
It's sort of being on the news team or something. Oh, my father was a journalist, maybe that's it.
I want to talk to you about Tim Pope, because those videos for Landing on Water, to me, well, they were great. I mean, they were offbeat and a little quirky, and they sort of were nothing like what we'd be seeing now already. And to me, I don't know, it made it seem like you guys had a natural pairing there. But were you going to do the whole album?
We were going to do a video album, but we couldn't get the financing with the record company that we had at the time.
Oh.
So we just got to do as many as we could, and then I ended up paying for all of them, which is kind of, luckily I could pay for all of them. Tim Pope got paid.
Mm.
So, but it was great. We did that. It was a creative thing. We didn't get to do everything we wanted to do, but we did what we could.
It looked like he called you a brilliant actor.
That's nice, Tim. Thank you.
How far, I mean, that was a pretty turbulent time for you with Geffen then. I mean, how can things get so bad that, they eventually
You have
sue
to
the
ask
artist?
them.
Okay.
I don't know. Ask David Geffen, ask Don Henley, ask Joni Mitchell, ask Robbie Robertson, ask Elton John.
Mm.
I'm biased. He sued me. He didn't sue them yet. My opinion doesn't mean anything because I'm obviously biased against the man.
Mm.
What happened with us is just an unfortunate mistake. It was like a giraffe marrying an elephant. It was an unfortunate thing and never should have happened.
Mm.
Children never would make it. And my records didn't make it with him. It was a negative atmosphere. It's over.
Hey, it's Miss Julie.
1988 was a successful year for Neil Young. He found himself able to record once again with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and he was back on reprise with a new album entitled This Note's For You. He was also working with a band called the Blue Notes, who incidentally took their name from a club in Winnipeg. Denise Donlan traveled to New York City to see Neil Young and the Blue Notes playing at a Lower East Side club called The World.
You know a body feels empty with no love inside. A body feels empty with no love at all. I think we're headed for a heartache. That's my suspicion. I think we're headed for a heartache. That's how I feel.
Basically, all his songs are new, and I wrote them for a big band that can handle the arrangements. Wrote a lot of the horn parts and you know, didn't write them. I came in and went, you know, da 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 da. You know, do that, okay? You know, and these guys are great. They do it. You know, right away they do it, and then they make it better. And then they arrange the harmony parts and everything, and then we work it out, and everybody knows what's going on. These guys are all better musicians than I am.
People sleeping on the sidewalks on a rainy day. Families living on the freeways, it's the American way. Starving in the city while the farm goes to seed. Murder in the home, crime on the street. Don't that trouble you, brother? Don't that trouble you, pal? Don't that kill you, sister?
I live for playing live. That's what I do. That's what all my records are live since after the Gold Rush, with the exception of Trans and the vocals on Landing on Water. Everything I've done has been a live thing. I've tried to do, you know, it is what it is. I go in and sing the song and arrange it, and we all play it at once and then mix it, and that's it. So it's no different from playing in a club, playing in the studio. I hate studios. Studios are passé for me. I'd rather play in a garage or in a truck or in a rehearsal hall or a club or a basement, anywhere but a studio, where you have to go down the hall and see other people playing, and you feel like you're in some kind of a complex that's, you know, you feel like you're a soup, you're cream of mushroom and a tomato, you know. I don't like that.
Ain't singing for Pepsi. Ain't singing for Coke. I don't sing for nobody. Makes me look like a joke. This note's for you.
You've been very successful at mixing a message, if you like, with a sense of humor. I mean, this note's for you. It's wonderful.
It's funny.
It's very funny.
It was a lot funnier before people heard it. Should have heard it when just a couple of people heard it, and we were just rolling around and laughing on the floor. And then when you know, then it came out, and they made this big deal about it, and they wouldn't play it, and everybody started talking about it and everything. It got to be much heavier than what it was. And then it got to be that I was putting down all of these people and everything because I did the video, which the video really does put them down, and as much as it makes fun of them as beer salesmen, you know. Anybody's open season, you know, anybody who makes a commercial or anything, you know, doesn't have to be a musician, but, you know, it's always been that way. People who are hawking things on TV, like selling cars, used cars and everything, you know, you can make fun of those people. They're fun to make fun of.
Ain't singing for Pepsi.
It serves them right. It serves them all right. They all deserve it. They earned it. They should have, you know, the Molson's Home for the Homeless instead of all of this crap they're spending on advertising and everything. Everybody drinks the beer anyway. They're all just blowing their own horn. Why don't they spend money on helping people and use it's this great advertising. You know, why don't they build a big building and hire staff and doctors and people like that and all wear Budweiser or Molson stickers on their white outfits and help people? Why don't they do that with their money instead of? I'm starting to like that idea. How do you like that, Molson?
This note's for you.
Leave it to the Olympics. Leave it to the Olympic sports stars to be sponsored. That sort of makes sense. The guy skiing down, he works out for 4 or 5 years. He's skiing down a downhill racer with Marlboro written on him, right? If he had a Marlboro every day, he'd be coughing and wheezing on his way up the hill. What are they kidding? What does this mean?
Don't eat no pants. Don't want no money. Ain't got no staff.
All musicians can do is bring it to mind that there's a problem here. If there was more responsible action on the part of people with the real big bucks and the big organizations and the worldwide shipping lanes and all of those things that are under control of these commercial ventures, but, you know, if there was more responsibility on that level, we'd have a lot less problem. But you can't tell people what to do, or all of a sudden we're not going to be free anymore. People have to want to do it themselves.
I got the real thing. I got the real thing, baby.
The other night I saw you on TV, and it was just a little short thing before my video, and we can just run that right now, okay?
Yeah, we'll do some clip. I understand that even though Neil has been doing all this sponsor bashing, that breweries are still sponsoring his shows. So I don't know whether that's Neil sort of not really caring beyond the point of caring, or whether it's just sort of something that happened without his knowledge. But we'll see what happens when he comes to town. We'll check him out and take you down there.
All right, we're back, okay? You saw what he said. Great. So what happened is, I think maybe you got the wrong impression about what we're doing here. First of all, we're not sponsored here at the CNE by Molson. We don't have anything against Molson, but we think that there's a misleading thing happening, where people think that because Molson sponsors the CNE grandstand,
The venue itself.
the venue, that's what's happening here. So you have these beer companies sponsoring the venues, and then we come in with a private promoter that works in this venue, but it comes off like Molson's is presenting us. Now that wouldn't be any big deal unless you were me. So I've taken a stand against this. So I have to clarify this everywhere I go, and we have an announcement we make that clarifies it. But if it was easy enough for you to maybe get the wrong impression, if it was easy for you to do it, just think how easy it is for all the kids to get the wrong impression. All your audience, who are, you know, they're susceptible to what they see. So I just want them to know that I don't think it's that they have to drink Molson's to be cool or be like me. I'm just, you know, all you have to do to be with me is just, you know, be with my music. We don't need any middleman. I have so many opinions about so many different things and everything that comes out during my music that it's a battle for me I try not to be preachy about what I'm saying. That's a real danger, because as soon as you start preaching, then nobody wants to hear you because you're a jerk, you know. And then you can get there. And I've slipped into that position many times, and it's a danger of doing what I do. I don't want to do that. I just want to be a reflection of what's going on. I let people draw their own conclusions. You know, I don't want to, you know, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do.
Just a quick question about the incredible benefit that you're going to be taking part in for the Bridge School. Why this particular cause for you?
Well, it's a thing that my wife is putting together, actually. It's a school for children with cerebral palsy and different related things like cerebral palsy, where these kids can't move their arms and legs and they can't talk, but they can think. So we're trying to develop a classroom program using computers and different software and hardware to enable these kids to be able to communicate on a level that is with their intelligence. Because their communication is so low, people think that they're retarded, a lot of these people, and that word is misused all the time. A lot of these little kids that can't move, that are wheelchair bound, that, you know, they drool, they're hanging funny in their chairs and everything, their little souls are fine. And they gotta be able to communicate. Einstein might be sitting in that chair. It's our job to try to take advantage of the wealth of a brain that has nothing to do but think.
Neil and his wife Peggy have continued expanding the Bridge School for Physically Challenged Children, the latest effort being a benefit recording called The Bridge, an album actually of all Neil Young covers done by various fringe artists from America and England, people like Flaming Lips, the Pixies, Sonic Youth, and Dinosaur Jr. And while this is a great tribute to Neil Young as a songwriter, it's not the first time that his songs have been covered.
I've heard a lot of records that make fun of my voice and things like that. It's a trip.
Good parodies?
Oh, yeah. There's one guy in New York, they did a record called Neil Young's Cat. And all these songs, you know, all my songs sung by my cat, right? Gee. So that was pretty funny. So I figure I really made it when that happened.
Free to record again with David Crosby, Stephen Stills, and Graham Nash. The group went into the studio in 1988 and made American Dream. I spoke with Neil recently in Los Angeles, and he talked about that particular album.
a lot of it was real good. But if we make another one, we'll make a better one.
The sound of
It
it
took a
was
long time to
make it happen.
get back, you know, to get together and everything, and you got to be on top of it to do that. I think the next one will be better, you know, whenever it happens.
The American Dream album was probably very nostalgic for the listeners. I wonder, do you think we're too steeped in the past?
Right. Well, I had to overcome that, and I never really did. The nostalgic effect. To really make a record today, you got to get by that. So hopefully our next record won't be, you know, it'll be just, you know, and I know everybody, you know, would say, you know, make that sound, you know, so that everybody likes it. They want to hear that sound. The people who like it, the people who don't. But, you know, they want to hear the four-part harmonies and the clean thing and the whole deal. But I think to make a record that's really pertinent, we should abandon all of that and try to do it a different way.
After 25 years in the business, Neil Young is definitely still on track. He's released an album that many consider to be his strongest work in years, an album called Freedom. The first single, The Scorching, Rockin' in the Free World.
I wrote that song out on the road, and I really don't remember, except I know I wrote it all on my bus. And I thought of the first line, rockin' in the free world, keep on rockin' in the free world. I thought of that, and I said, well, God, that really says something, but it's such a cliche. It's such a terrible, you know, like it's such an obvious thing. So then I knew I had to use it, you know. And then the rest of it, obviously, you know, like it said, keep on rocking in the free world says so many things to me that, of course, as you notice, I just sing it over and over again, you know, like, well, if I sing it 4 times in a row by myself, I mean, there's not even a chorus, you know. So I tried to interpret every time I said it as a different thing. And then the words to the verses and everything, who knows where they came from. Just, I can't even remember writing them, really.
The free world has a specific connotation for most of us politically. Is the free world, do you think, expanding these days?
I don't know. I think for wherever it's expanding, it's contracting. So I think it's, you know, I don't know if it's expanding. I know that people are crossing borders, and I met a Russian girl on one of my concerts up in Canada that through her interpreter was saying that she was in the audience singing Keep on Rockin' in the Free World. And, you know, there's a lot of ironic things like that, obviously. But I don't have an answer for whether the free world is bigger or smaller than it was. It may very well be smaller than it was. I don't know. I can't stop. You know, I have to keep on going. And there's so much to do and so little time to do it in. That sounds like a real cliche, doesn't it?
It's true. With that in mind, are you going to take Freedom on the road?
I don't have any plans at all for any tours right now. I just came off the road about 2 weeks ago, and I am recording this week a little bit. And I'm working on my 25th anniversary album, which is, and also video compilation of my concert appearances over from 1967 to 1990. And trying to, and we have everything that I ever did. We filmed one show of everything that I did, every tour that I did over that period of time. With, you know, I'd say we got 75% of them on film. So this is going to be a big thing. I got to do that, and it's going to come out with the record. And so that the next year I'll be doing that, but at the same time, on the side, I'll be doing what I always do, which is making records, making a new record, writing songs and making new music. I won't stop doing that to do this compilation. But so the next year probably won't see as much performing from me as the last 15 years, where I've worked almost I think every year.
Hope it's a good year for you.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it.
Just another quick question. What were things like for you in 1966? That was the year that Buffalo Springfield first got together.
Oh, there he is. Come on.
Oh, no! You got...
You're going to have to come with us.
1966?
Yes.
You're going to have to come along with us. Problem.
He's under arrest.
Yeah.
He's under arrest, but I don't even get to ask his last
I'm
question
sorry.
about
Prisoner of
1966.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, I guess that's showbiz.
Very nice. That's showbiz.
All right,
Thank you,
Neil.
E.T.
Nice talking to you.